Namaste. So, one thing I definitely wanted to say for you beautiful people was that cleanliness is next to godliness because a cluttered home is a cluttered mind. So, what do I necessarily mean by that? Shout out to the unks, by the way, all my Uncle La Familia. So, what do I mean by that? So, in a way, since cleanliness is next to godliness, angels don't exist in hell, right? So let's say if you ever met somebody that you were like, damn, they are just so attractive, or damn, I just like this person so much. But when you actually go to that person's home, you know what I'm saying, and you see how they live, that person might live in filth, or that person might live in a junk type of area, meaning that since their home is cluttered or their room is cluttered, then their mind and their heart and their soul is cluttered as well. And by that being cluttered, it's almost like it's an distraction. Like they are distracted, so they will distract you as well. And by that's what another reason why I say that a clean home, you know what I'm saying, is a clean mind. Because if your home is cluttered, then your mind is cluttered. That means your mind could be everywhere. That means you could be dealing with stuff that you have not really dealt with because your body absorbs all the things that you have physically been through throughout your entire lifetime. And not only that, but just like your mind, you can have things go to the back of your mind to be like locked in a box, for example. And just like how Eminem came out with a song years ago saying, I'm sorry, mama, I never meant to hurt you, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet, meaning that and signifying that he was cleaning out the actual trapped, the junk of his actual DNA, the junk of the things that was hid in that darkness that needed to come to light. So just like I have my sage, by the way, blowing in the wind, it's cleansing the entire area, the entire frequency and the vibration of my casa, my home, my kingdom. And it is also cleansing anyone that chooses to be on here and anyone that chooses to watch this because your energy will be cleansed just by me being cleansed, almost like a magnet. So another thing is that since cleanliness is next to godliness, like how I said before, angels don't exist in hell. So let's say if you wanted to contact, someone of a higher energy or a higher being or something like that, then pretty much you will have to raise yourself to that higher being, to the status of that being. So it's like sometimes when people watch TV, they look up to the person they see the most on television, right? So by them looking up to the person they see the most on television, that is the person, place, or thing that they will choose to become the most like. That's why they say the most high, or that God has children, many children that are the reflection of God, or reflection of Ra in a way, or the Neter, the Netaru. And it just breaks down on all levels, many different levels, and it just depends on who actually looks up to who. Because, you are what you attract. You attract people that are like you, and you attract people that need someone like you. So by you, cleansing your actual aura, January is one of the months where we need to cleanse our aura the most because by it being the winter time, we actually deal with. Hold on, wait, let me stand up for you. Bam, bam. So we actually deal with the winter solstice, and the sun is not actually going to be out as much as it will in the summer, which is when we get most of our vitamin D and when we get most of our raw power and stuff like that. So by the winter time, the winter solstice, the sun is actually in a recycling stage to where there is more darkness than it is light. So by there being more darkness than there is light, then we, as the children of the sun, just like how they say God has many reflections, we lose some of our power by not being in the sunlight. That's why a lot of people love the sunlight so much. They just love the sun. They love when it shines. They love the gold that it gives off, the gold in the soul. So when your heart is full of gold, you know what I'm saying, you will be purified. That's why you have to purify your mind, your body, your vessel, which is your body, your spirit, and your soul. The spirit is different than the soul. Your soul is actually what you are. Your spirit is who you are. So just like how we all talk about the great spirit, that's more of who you are rather than what you are. because what you are, in a way, does not actually exist on this physical plane. That's why cleanliness is next to godliness, because we as humans, we live with animals, and we live almost like we became the animal, which is another reason why we have hair and stuff like that. And by us living on this low frequency plane, the only way we can actually resemble who and what we actually are is if we live just like who and what we actually are. So by cleansing our environment, we attract cleansing type of people, or we attract people that are already cleansed. We attract opportunities that are already cleansed. We attract things that will cleanse us, things that will purify us, things that will help us move forward and go forward and push forward, And if we don't, then I know for a fact most of us know somebody, whether they were our friends or they were our family members, that if you were to go to their house would be completely filthy, right? To the point where even their relationships would be sour, even their friendships would be sour. The things that they actually deal with, the people that they know, they will have great connections with them, but their connections will never be strong enough to build something. Their connections will never be great enough to keep them together. It's like a relationship. A lot of people get together because of their connection, but most of the times when they're going through the trials and tribulations, their connection that actually made them come together was never strong enough to keep them together. So when you lose that miscommunication, you lose pretty much everything that you have actually had, which is another reason why cleanliness is next to godliness, because if you were purified, mind, body, spirit, and soul, then you would actually not necessarily have that miscommunication. When you actually, that's one of the worst things in our physical life or in our spiritual life that messes up the most is communication, because consistency is key. If you are consistently on the level, then you will get that. It's just like how they say the early bird gets the worm. So if you are consistently waking up early just to consistently get that worm, then you will be looked at as someone who is worthy, someone who is chosen. But if you are someone that is wishy-washy, one day on, the next day off, one day like, hey, you are the entire world, and I want to be closer to this person, place, or thing, then the next day you're non-existent. You are wishy-washy. You know what I'm saying? Because there are things that are a lot greater than us as physical beings, things that are a lot greater than, us as spiritual beings. But we would never know that if we didn't see it in ourselves. If you don't see your godliness, if you don't see your holiness, which is godliness, in yourself, then you can never be it. You know what I'm saying? It's like a difference between someone that praises God and someone that lives in the footsteps of God. You get what I'm saying? So the only way you can follow in God's footsteps is if you become a God. Otherwise, you were just carried somewhere because you had no control over your own vessel, over your spirit, over your Merkaba, over your soul. So Ashe, Namaste, have a beautiful day.